conversation.
Cool.
Hey, I'm Tamar. You all know me. This is my friend, church member, LaCrystal. Hey. And God told her to be on here. Like, he whispered her name at 3 o'clock. So this is why we are here. We are having a conversation. And this season is He Said, She Said. And this article, this episode is about the article that I found in online. And it's the statistics about where foster kids end up, or at least what they say. What they say. So I guess they say that 90% of us end up in prison. I fell into that statistic unknowingly. But I think the part of that article that really was the catalyst to me wanting to include it, it said that children can avoid being incarcerated if they renew their mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that lines up with everything I am, because renewing your mind is a process, and it takes a level of self-awareness. And not just self-awareness, but somebody being exposed enough to talk about what leads them there. Like, how do you end up in foster care? Like, how do you end up in prison? Like, because 9 times out of 10, foster care isn't your fault.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not their fault.
Foster care isn't your fault, but then the statistic lines up the decisions you make after foster care. You have to own those. But how do you start owning that if the beginning isn't even you?
So that make me wonder, where was the derailment? And since you've been in foster care, what do you think, just reading this, what do you feel is the derailment for them to say, okay, this is the statistics? Where do you think the disconnect came from?
So I'm an avid reader. And what I saw when I saw the article, and I'm going to include the article, the link will be posted because I want you all to read what I read, was the rejection. And I think the rejection of just the system of foster care, it issues in, and it brings in other spirits and other situations. So I had a dream one night, and it was the spirit of rejection. And it was this little kid sitting in this all white room, and they were sitting in this corner. And then the door opens, and then you see these spirits where people come through, and they have other spirits attached to them. And they come to keep rejection company. And that's what the personalities that they take on. So initially the rejection isn't the child's fault, but the spirits that accompany that, whether that be angry, another holiday, it's October. Kids are making out their Christmas list for the angel tree. True. Their sponsors prepared to start shopping for them. And it's why do I have to make this list out? Why do I have to have this? Why can't I be normal? Even if it's the Santa, why can't I just believe in Santa? I have to fill out this angel wish list and hope a great sponsor sponsors me and I get what I ask for. So there's anger, there's abandonment, there's, let me see, what did 14-year-old Tamar feel? Abandonment. I felt like I wasn't cared for because life still went on. They didn't talk to me. They didn't come for visits. There wasn't visitation or home passes for me. There was just I'm there.
So let me ask you, 14-year-old Tamar.
Okay.
When you, is it has, I guess kind of set the scene for us when you say nobody came to visit you. Did you see other kids getting visits?
Yeah, so DHR is set up where you have a ISP, and it's individualized service plan. So even though you're in a group with other children, your service plan is individualized to you, depending on what brought you into custody and what behaviors they've seen you display. So my ISP, when it came to family, it had a reunification plan, but I never had family visits. My parents I didn't do home studies. My parents didn't come visit me. They didn't come get me. I spent a lot of time with my foster mom. That was our bonding. We cooked. When I say that's why I cook the way I cook now, that was our bonding process, because everybody would leave. Friday, we get out of school 3:30. You would see kids start signing out with their families at about 4. By 6, everyone was gone. So then it's whoever doesn't have family is left in the house, especially on holidays. Yeah, especially on holidays, it became like this.
So I can see with the abandonment, the feeling of like rejection, that you don't know where it come from, because it's like, I didn't ask for this.
And you start coping in crazy ways. I was a habitual liar.
Okay.
Like, I can see now where my gift of creativity that came from God, that was meant for godly purposes, was present even in that place, in that hurt place, because I would make up like the most grandiose stories, because this is what I wanted my life to look like. Yeah. And I would start moving and believing it, even though it wasn't real, and get mad at you if you tell me I'm lying.
Really?
Like, I got an attitude and I know I'm lying.
Yeah.
Like, why am I mad? It's a lie.
But that's the way you cope.
And the kids that cope that way, once you start, especially when it gets into lying and creating your reality, it leads you to crime. Because now the lie that you believe, you got to create. And if that means selling drugs, selling you, whatever that looks like, you're going to compromise because you want to create something. You want to create what you think is going to make you happy. Yeah. So when I read the article and it was like 90%, I could see that.
So do you fully agree with the article?
I fully agree with the stats.
Okay.
I fully agree with the stats because I've been through the sentencing process. So I understand that, like, they ask 8 million questions. They know everything you've ever done as a child, especially federally. Okay. They have a, what is it called? A PSR, pre-sentencing report. Okay. So your pre-sentencing report has everything from the day you were born. Really? To the time you get sentenced. Where you worked, where you went to school, how you were raised. So I could see them knowing that you grew up in foster care. Okay. So I could see those stats being correct. Honestly, I do. When I sit and think about it in its totality, I believe the whole article is true. Yeah. So and that's scary.
Is that what made you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I really did, because first the date made me want to talk about it. Because it's not a year old yet. So these are stats.
I thought that was wild too.
These stats are not even a year old.
They're recent.
So this ain't what y'all said 20 years ago. This was last year. Yeah. And kids are still falling out of the system, and the pipeline is created, and they're like, you're telling me out of 100, 90 I'm going to prison? 90 I'm going to go to prison. Yeah. They're going to see criminal justice. And then once you get out, you didn't have a support system growing up. Yeah. So now you have a support system as an adult? Probably not.
You don't have one. So what do you think, seeing this article, reading it, looking at the statistics, and you looking at it, you're like, okay, yeah, this is recent, like you just said, but what do you think, what kind of resolve or the solution do you think can help lower these statistics?
I think, of course, they say better foster parent training and more education. I think for me, it was understanding and seeing things spiritually. Okay. Like understanding that physically and spiritually they align. And for foster parents, the logistics of what they say in the book, but then understanding like, hey, this is a spiritual concept. And I think I told you in church, I was like, okay, God, I know where adoption is in the spirit. Like Galatians 4:7 says we're adopted into sonship. But where's foster care in the Bible? And like, he took me to Moses. So I'm sitting here like, oh, Moses' mama did have to give him up. Because it wasn't a good situation. And he was raised by Pharaoh. And his mama got visitation because she was the nurse that took care of him in Pharaoh's house. So I could even see foster care in the Bible. So I'm like, okay, I see that like it's spiritual. And then I think the burden of foster parents, social workers, case workers is understanding like you're not dealing with the fruit of it. Like the lies, that's kind of hard. The anger, that's difficult. For me, it was lying, sexually acting out, because baby, you couldn't tell me. Yeah. I wasn't her. Like, you couldn't tell me. I wasn't her growing up. So lying, sexually acting out, running away, like, that's all surface.
Because that's what I was saying. So
that's all surface.
That's like a symptom.
That's a symptom of the fact of like rejection and like pouring in who are they, their identity. Taking time to get to know the children in your care. Like, it's more than a check. Because truthfully, the check ain't even all that. It's more than a check.
You see, that's pretty much what it is. Especially like on the news where all those children how do they say the system failed them, or the neighbors. It's a check.
Mm-hmm. It's a check.
So I feel like they should evaluate. I think they should take it more serious as screening the actual foster parents as well.
And maybe even training them. I think, like, as a community, one thing that I've saw through my life is different people played a role at different times. And
okay, that's good.
And even knowing, like, it can't even be all on the foster parents.
Yeah.
Like, there's a place for the parents. Because coming back from prison, trying to be reintroduced in my children's lives.
Yeah.
Like, coming back after you do something wrong. Coming back after you've been taken from your parent. Like, understanding the place. It's really, like, something that has to be lined up with a prayer life. Like, I want to see if I had my way. Let's say I have my way in this moment. I would want to build a curriculum where foster care and faith were combined. Because there's no way you can do it, because you're dealing with a real transplant. They didn't come from you. Yeah. They have nothing of you, but you're being entrusted to raise something that doesn't belong to you.
And what come with them, the attachments, because you know generational curses are real.
Literally.
So you taking all that on and trying to mold it into something, you need background too.
Background and the fruits of the spirit. I can see with my foster mom, she was very long suffering. Cause I wasn't who I was not the Tamara you see today. Yeah. Like I was not her. And the thing, how long suffering she was with me, and that was a skill. First, she was rooted in her faith.
That's good.
She was rooted in her faith. Was she the only person I came into contact with in DHR custody? No, but she was the person that memorably was rooted.
Yeah, she made an impact.
And I wasn't treated like the other kids. Like, they went on passes. They didn't get what I got. Like, we got flour, meal, salt, butter. Like, she realized what my love language was. Yeah. And you can't make me believe she didn't go to God and find that out.
She had to.
She had to.
And then not just even her going to God, but God aligned her with you.
Literally.
He knew you needed her.
Literally, to the point where when I left the placement, I met her at the King's Ranch. When I left the King's Ranch, she quit her job and she got certified to be a foster parent, to be my foster parent.
Wow.
So I went from being an assignment as a job placement to her to being literally your God-given assignment. I moved to her house with her. Yeah. So you can't tell me she didn't go to God. And I think that's the difference with her and other foster parents that I came in contact with. Like, knowing that foster care and faith have to line up. Yeah. Like, there is, and not so much like, I'm going to tell you have to pray like this, but the seek has to be intentional, because you're taking care of something that don't belong to you. And you can't make it into yours. Like, understanding, I think, when I think about the placement I was at, the Brown's house at King's Ranch, I think I was one of the only people that loved to cook.
Really?
And I didn't even know I loved to cook until I met her, who taught me how to cook.
So she cultivated your gifts.
Literally.
She's seen it.
Literally, like, the love language is the only love language I don't think that was really ministered to me in foster care was physical touch, because they can't touch you. Yeah. So, like, when you have a kid that loves physical touch, but it's sexually acting out, it's real. So in your guidelines, it's like the care worker, even if you see me crying, you can't hug me. Really? Because that's sexually acting out. You could be accused of sexually acting out. Lose your job.
That to me kind of create some type of emotional disconnect too, and I can see like sexually acting out from that, because you're not getting that love, that nurturing that kids need.
I mean, everybody likes touch. I think the pandemic taught that regardless of what your technical love languages are, physical touch is important, even if it's number 3 or number 4. Like, because when COVID came and it took our inability to be touched, everybody felt it.
Everybody.
Even if it wasn't on a romantic level, if it was just you and your mom or you and your siblings, like 6 feet, like, that's a long way for somebody that. Now imagine a kid growing up where they're not touched, and that's their love language. You could see them going looking for it somewhere else. You can see like the first boyfriend that says, I love you, let me hug you, give you a kiss. It's not that you like them, you like what they're providing for you.
Yeah. You need that sense of security.
But how do you supplement that in the midst of, hey, I'm in foster care, hey, I really love hugs. I really love this. Where do I get it from?
Right.
And I think that's where faith comes in. Because one thing, even about our church, we the huggingest people.
Yes.
You gonna get 10 hugs before you
during
leave.
the pandemic, we had to bump elbows.
Really? So, like, we are the huggingest church. You gonna get 10 hugs before you leave.
Yeah.
Like, so even take a foster care kid whose parent was a member of our church. And your foster mom may not, for whatever reason, want to hug you. You gonna go to church on Sunday.
You gonna feel it.
And you gonna get them to 10, 12 hugs.
Yeah.
If not more. Like, I may be under exaggerating.
Yeah.
And how that even fills up your love tank. Even for me, I can say that on Sundays, that's one of the things, depending on where I am, that I do look forward to. Because I'm single.
Yeah.
Like, and outside of my mom and my dad, like, and it's my love language. It's been one of the things that I had to, like, really depend on God. Like, listen, God, keep my flesh. Keep my flesh. Yeah. And I got homegirls that know, like, that's Tamar's love language. So I'd be like, oh, Meek, I need a hug.
Yeah.
And, like, she would literally meet me somewhere and give me a hug because she knows this is her love language. She is living right.
Hugs just do something to you.
Don't they?
They refill you.
Feel safe, especially like if you've been through some abuse. Like, I didn't have the physical abuse trauma. Like, nobody was punching me upside the head, none of that kind of stuff. But some kids, that's like, they really are physically abused. So they need to be introduced to touches that don't hurt.
That's true.
Otherwise you got, like, I have a friend and she's actually going to do one episode with me, and like, that's her story.
Really?
She had to learn how to be touched again.
Wow.
Like, just coarse and callous growing up, and then she was like, I had to learn how to be touched. Yeah. And I was like, and you want to talk about that? She was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Because you don't know, like, you go from this situation, and actually foster care looks like prison.
And I was just gonna say, I can see why it looks like that, like institutionalized.
When I sit and think about my days in Alderson, foster care resembled prison. Like, it was a big group home. It was a big group home. I wasn't in maximum security. Okay. So imagine camp status. Like, there's 2 buildings, A building, B building. Buildings are broken up into quads. So there's B1 through 4, A1 through 4. You have a job. There's rec, cosmetology, a library, a track, CDR, commissary. Like, long as you sign out and somebody knows where you are, you pretty much free to roam.
Really?
Like, literally, the come out opens at like 5 in the morning and it closes at 9 at night. Okay. So you could be in email, you can be in the library, you can be in rec, you can be like horticulture. There's clay, pottery, like, you name it. Not bragging. Yeah. Do not go.
Yeah, don't go
to the people prison. All those things are available at your nearest YMCA, Google, like,
outside of the walls.
Outside of the walls.
Yes. So
all of this is available.
Did that help you while you were there, being that you kind of come from something that's similar growing up while you were incarcerated? So
my prison story is a little different. Okay. So I'm adopted as well as going to foster care. Okay. Which is very interesting how that happened, because I was actually adopted before I went to foster care. Really? Most people go to foster care, then they're adopted. So no, that wasn't my story. And I just had, like, the identity crisis of the century. Like, I was looking for something. I found myself in South Carolina. I had been in a domestic violence relationship.
So wait, take us back. Walk us through it.
Okay.
So, because we skipped some steps. Let's go. First, we started at 14. So let's take us back to when you said you were adopted first. So start there. Okay. So I was adopted between the ages of 1 and 3. Okay. I have my adoption file. Do not know the logistics to it because there's so many just like holes in it. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of weird because when people don't fill out papers. I know my name was Tanisha, Tuynesha. Mama, thank you for changing it. Not Tanisha.
That was my name.
You don't even look like a Tanisha.
I know, right? But that was my name.
Okay.
So got the file, know my name, just, little, I guess, case notes that they put in the file or whatever. Ended up with my parents. That's my mom right there. Yeah, that's my mom. That's my dad. Okay. They are everything. Now, hindsight, They are everything stability. They were assigned to me to cultivate the teacher that I am, the gifts that I have.
Okay.
But growing up, baby, you talking about somebody booked.
Yeah, I was gonna say you booked against it.
When I say booked, they like teachers very structured. They are very honest people.
Mm-hmm.
When I say like it was just a matter of fact, it was like there's no Easter Bunny, there's no Santa Claus, there's no Tooth Fairy.
Okay.
And I asked my mom one day, I said, Mama, why are you so rough about it?
Brutal, like brutally honest.
She was like, because if I lied to you about that, then when I told you about Jesus, you would think I was lying too. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
So I didn't get any of that. So adoption was kind of just a matter of fact. You're adopted. Didn't really get any background story about it, but I'm curious. It's borderline nosy. Curious. I'm inquisitive. That's a good word. Inquisitive. I ask questions and I'm just like, okay, God, like, I started acting out because I wanted these affirmations. Like I won spelling bees, Coca-Cola essay contests. Okay. I'm like this kid in school. Somewhere between, back up to kindergarten. Kindergarten, I was touched and nobody ever knew.
Okay.
Like when I say nobody ever knew, when my mom sees this episode, she'll be finding out. So I'm gonna brace her during editing to tell her. Because I never told anybody. Kindergarten, I was touched. It was just that situation. Summer camp when I was 8 at the community center, the swimming instructor used to stick his fingers in my swimsuit while he was supposedly teaching me how to swim. Yeah. I still don't know how to swim. Yeah. Traumatized. Used to run away from home. So my parents saw the actions that I did.
They didn't know why. The reason.
You talking about lying, running away from home, smart, book smart, very articulate, very smart, emotional trauma that I didn't even have verbiage for it. I couldn't even, and because I lied so much when it was time to tell the truth about something that serious, I never even found words for it. Like, what do you say? Do I get them in trouble? Like, how does this look? So went through like, I think 10, maybe 11, I started acting out real bad. Got this friend, her name was Nene. Nene's no longer living. Her mom let us do whatever we wanted to. When I say whatever, like I would run away. I would leave school with Nene, walk to her mom's house. Her mama never asked where my mama was. Did my mama know I was there? What, like nothing. And we did whatever we wanted to do. Wow. Even if that meant like chips and cookies were dinner. Like her mama wasn't ever there. We literally, whatever we was big and bad enough to do. My parents got tired of it. Because who are you to run away every Friday?
Gotcha.
Who are you to take us through this?
Because you felt you were grown.
Because I wanted some fictitious account of what I thought happiness was. I don't even know like what my thought process. Nene seemed to have a better life than I did. Yeah. Because I didn't appreciate structure.
Gotcha.
What I appreciate now, I was like, she gets to do what she want to do.
Yeah.
My mama didn't let us wear fake hair. Yeah. You couldn't wear fake hair, like it was so much you couldn't do, and all I could see was the structure. Like I couldn't understand or appreciate that as a kid.
Yeah, and I was also gonna say because you was looking at it through those lenses of a child.
Literally.
Yeah.
No, if you look like she get everything, she get this, like not even understanding just the different dimensions of like who our parents were. Yeah. What side of town? Like our sides of town were different. Same city. Different sides of town. And neither here nor there about the location, but just my mindset. And I took my parents through it. Yeah. Like running away, not knowing where your children are, like where your child is. And then she has the audacity to talk to you like you ain't nothing. And private education. Yeah. The best of schools. My daddy worked 2 jobs for a season just because. Like my parents have been married 59 years. Yeah. So we talking about like stability.
Yeah, real stability. So just pause right there because I don't want to forget this. When you and Nene, did y'all ever have a sit down and like talk about it? Like as y'all got older or once y'all go older, or did you like kind of lose contact with her?
So Nene got killed in a car accident coming to get me.
Wow.
I was getting ready to run away again. She got killed in a car accident in Southtown. Coming to get me.
My God.
So Nene never saw the mature. There was never the conversation. There was never the mature hindsight. Oh my God! Like even then, did I lie to Nene? I think I lied to Nene and told her that my mama knew where I was. And this was before iPhones. Yeah. So you could say you called your mama on Friday and she knew you was going to school on Monday. Yeah. And nobody was really checking in. So
it's the landline.
It's the landline. The year of the landline. BellSouth.net. Yes. You know, you could give somebody the wrong number and they can't Google it to find out. Like, because you about to look in the phone book to find out.
Because all you had was redial. And by that time, you didn't call somebody.
Listen. So it was just in that time you could hide stuff. So me, I don't think Nene really even knew. Okay. I don't think she knew. I'm quite sure she didn't. If she thought it, she never said it. She never said it. So it was kind of like, yeah. But so anyway, where are we at? Ran away from home. Treated my parents really, really bad. I apologize, parents. Y'all know I love y'all now.
She love y'all. Y'all did a great job.
When I say it's a special place in heaven for y'all.
Yes.
Because of what you all have cultivated. But I didn't. Like, I didn't understand. So I ended up back in foster care. I remember my mom had on a black sweater with a ruler on the pocket and an apple on the other pocket. We were at family court. Because at this time I'm a child in need of supervision. Because my parents have to report me missing. Otherwise it falls on them if I do something to end up dead. So they're reporting me missing as a runaway, and I keep doing it. So now I'm a child in need of supervision, and I remember them asking me, Becky Vivas, the CHINS worker, she asked me, she said, do you want to go home with your mom and dad? And I said no. So truthfully, I'm the reason why I went to custody.
And you said no because of you, like you said, the structure. Really, the structure. Like, my parents, even to this day, are incredibly structured. Incredibly structured. I appreciate what I didn't then. But the structure, and then the feeling like I wanted to know. I felt like they didn't understand me because I'm adopted and I ain't really come from y'all. And I want to know who my biological mother is, and what if I have siblings, and just like, I have to dive into that when it comes to adoption, because all the stuff I used to say that I knew, when I met my biological family, I found that it was true. I used to always say I had an older sister. To only have an older sister. Like, it was crazy. But my parents are like the epitome of structure and faith. Like, I learned my ABCs to scriptures. Really? Like, A, I have sinned. B, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. C, children, obey your parents. Like, and I'm almost 40. Okay. So this is the kind of structure that I'm getting. It's instilled. But where did my roots come from? They got this transplant that they don't need. If they got the file that I got a whole bunch of holes in it. So you don't even know what you got. You just know you got it. And you have to deal with this. You're trying to raise this. You're trying to give it what you know to be good for it. But it's not even compatible, because she just, like, God, I repent right now for my childhood. Thank you for keeping me, because I was wild, and they had to in order to keep me alive. I needed to be somewhere where they had a lock and key on me, where I couldn't run away. Like, because it was that you was just dash leave. When I take off. My mama said one day, she said, I used to know when you was getting ready to run away, because you would go in there and curl your hair, and then you would tip downstairs, and then you'd be gone. What kind of trauma is that for your parents? But this was she dealing with. And she was 40 when I was adopted. Well, I'm telling you her age. I'm sorry, Mom. Like, so she was older when she adopted me. So you're talking about an older person, for whatever reason, didn't have biological children. I'm your adopted daughter. You've invested, because adoption is expensive. It is. You pay money, background checks, psychological evaluations, home studies, parenting classes. Like, you have invested time, energy, and money into getting what it is you know you wanted. What God is, because she told me God led her to me. I believe it. And because even just to put up and to deal with your rebellion for a while, listen, that takes strength too. And I think that's where my foundation of knowing that faith has to line up with foster care. Like, faith, there's no way that you could do it and not have a faith and a relationship with God. Because otherwise, like, be back on the statistics. It's either what they say or what God says. Like, there's no other alternative. Because you put a child who doesn't know their creation, doesn't know their identity, they don't even know who they look like. So when they get in the 7th grade and it's the X and Y project, Miss Stallworth made us do it. I failed it because I refused to do it. I didn't even take it home, because I would have had to lie.
I don't get my eyes from my mama. I don't look like my daddy.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm gonna do?
What do you? Yeah, because you have these empty pieces.
Because I have a whole bunch of empty pieces. So for me now, like, it's like reading that article. It's either they say that 90% of us are gonna end up in prison.
Yeah.
They say that it's easy because we've been in institutions our whole life. They say that packing in black trash bags and the lack of value and identity is what brings you here.
Yeah.
So either I'm gonna believe what they say or I'm gonna believe what God says.
So speed us up just a little bit. You was talking about some of the things you went through as an adult when you got to your other foster mom. But I want to know, what do you think? Of course, we know it was God, but what do you think kind of like made you not be this statistic?
There were parts of it I fell into.
Yeah, but you didn't stay there.
And it was literally my case manager in Florence, South Carolina at the House of Hope. She used to say this thing, and it was, God is God, even now, even then. I'm in South Carolina, moved there because of domestic violence, moved to a shelter, have to build this whole new life.
Okay.
I get in trouble there, okay? Because I'm still lying.
Yeah.
And now lying and adding
It
stealing.
caught up to you. Okay, and it's adding on.
Now lying and made me, like, now I'm stealing and lying.
Okay.
End up facing federal charges to the point where I was looking at 30 years in federal prison. And this case manager, again, I'm still not like where I am now. I've been introduced to God, but she starts showing me something different. Because now, this ain't childhood sweeping under the rug.
Yeah.
These people playing with you. You gonna go to a different facility. All gonna be forgiven. Is you gotta stand in front of a judge, and them people said 30 years.
Ooh.
These people are not playing with you. 30 years.
What did you feel in that moment?
I created a bucket list in my mind of all the stuff I wanted to do, because I knew if I went to prison for 30 years, I would die there. I would die there. One way or other, I would not live the whole 30 years. So it was kind of like, now I went into survival mode. Get this done, get that done, get this done. Because if they sentence me to these 360 months, what am I gonna do? So, and that's how I ended up meeting my biological mom.
Okay.
That's how I ended up meeting my biological mom. It was the bucket list, because now I gotta get this stuff done, because like I did it. You know, you can go and you can plead not guilty and let's have a trial, let's prove. No, I did it.
So you pleaded.
I pled guilty.
Okay.
So I've told them, like, hey, I wrote a statement on myself.
Wow.
If you were to look at my motion, my discovery, I wrote the statement on myself, because I've done it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm to the place where there's no running, and I got to deal with tomorrow. When I was in Effingham, which was the county jail, we were locked down 22 hours a day. So for 22 hours, you are in a room by yourself with you. If you don't like you, if you don't know you, if you have no clue, it ain't but so much crying you gonna do.
Yeah.
22 hours a day, and I was there for like 19 months. So I already had made a decision that, God, you got that, like you said, you never leave me or forsake me. I read the Bible cover to cover a couple of times.
Okay.
Started going to Bible studies, and I was like, I'm gonna need God to get out of this, but I don't ever want to go back to this. Like, that's a place where you like, God, if you see me through, like, I'm never going back to this. And that's just kind of where I was. Met Miss Vereen, and she was like, once my mind was made up and my decision was made, she was God's manifested escort into the next place. That's why I believe, like, Christians have to be everywhere. Yeah. Because she's a case manager at a homeless shelter. My God. In South Carolina. Like, she was at her job, but her salvation went to her job with her. So she literally escorted me into my next.
That's why they say the church have to be outside the walls.
Literally.
They have to be outside the walls.
When I say literally, like, social workers, bankers, case managers, like, she ran a homeless shelter. I met her because when they finally let me out of state holding, because the feds was taking their time actually indicting me, I had nowhere to go, but I couldn't leave South Carolina. I ended up at the shelter that she worked at. I did my whole pre-trial intervention, a resident of the shelter that she worked at. and she walked me through it. She walked me through it. And I'm sure people thought even then that I was her favorite, but I really feel like for that season I was her assignment.
Yeah,
I was her assignment. And
Definitely.
when I say she handled it, she handled it, because the feelings of you're never gonna see your kids, and like if I went to prison for 30 years, when and if I got out, my grandkids would have been grown.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just another statistic. There's a hopelessness. There's a, I don't know, like foster care gives you this, if you can do what you want to do, and you just gonna get moved around, and you're gonna get moved around, and it's placement after placement. And if you don't like this placement, run away enough times and they're gonna kick you out, then your social worker gotta find another placement. Like, it's kind of, you learn how to manipulate.
Because do they have the option to say, I don't want to be here?
I mean, you could say it.
Okay.
But it's depending on the beds, the availability. It's more kids than it is placements.
Okay.
So you really don't get to pick, I want to be here, I want to be there. But I manipulated the system several times. Like,
and so, yeah, and the other children just as well.
Yeah, I'm going to run away. If I keep running away, like, eventually, and that was my thing. I was a runner. So I'm going to run away. I'm going to get a plan. I'm going to whatever, and then I'm going to stay gone long enough where they going to have my stuff packed up in the trash bag. My social worker got to find me somewhere else to go. And to the point where, like, moving was a norm for me.
Yeah.
Moving was so much of a norm for me that being here, the apartment that I live in right now, I've lived here 4.5 years. I'm 38 years old. This is the longest I've ever been anywhere.
Really?
I'm 38.
And it's decked out, y'all.
Like,
just to let you know.
God be the glory. But longest I've ever been anywhere. Stability, like my phone number that I have now, that I will not be telling you what it is.
That's the longest too.
Longest phone number I've ever had. Like, and you're talking about, like, you're not used to stability. So there has to be like a heavenly unction. There has to be something deeper in you to know that there's more. There was a season that's all I quoted was scripture.
Yeah.
God, there has to be more than this. You promised me. Like, I believe I'm an heir. My foundational pastor used to always say, it was one of her mantras in one season, God, I'm your responsibility. Like, I'm your child. I'm your responsibility. And I started living my life that way. Like, hey, listen, it got to be more than this.
So after you got out of this incarceration, these 30 years that you did not do.
Ooh, baby, because the judge decided, Judge Hayworth, if you see this, thank you. Thank you. Because he told me that he saw something in me. And he chose to sentence me. His verbiage said, I choose to sentence you to a time, not to extend 24 months in the Bureau of Federal Prisons. That was a choice he made.
The choice. And you can see God aligning the entire time, from like when you took us back to the adoption, to the foster care, to the people and the placements that the hands that he had for you, whether you ran or not, we see his hand on your life.
Literally. And now it's just like the passion of knowing, having hindsight, but showing hindsight to children and social workers and caseworkers. Like, let me show you what I know on the other side. Having fell into a lot of the statistics, but then grateful not to fall into all of them.
And to overcome even the ones you fell into.
Even the ones like the fact that we serve a God that causes all things to work together. Like, I'm gonna use this, and that, but like to make you effective to them, and them. So, and it's amazing to serve a God like that. Just wanting to, I guess my passion now is just like understand it, see it. Like foster care, foster parents, people that have kids, knowing that it's gonna take a prayer life to know what you got. You're gonna have to know what you got, because that paper ain't gonna tell you.
Especially now with gaps and holes in it. Like you said, it's definitely gonna take a prayer life.
It's gonna take a prayer life, because you're not gonna know what you get. You know, it's a female or a male. You're not gonna know what they're wrestling with, what they came from, like what soul ties, or like we talk about generational curses. My biological mom went to federal prison.
Wow.
For the same thing I went to prison for. When I met her in 2015, I was on my way to be sentenced. I met her in May of 2015. Went to prison in October of 2015.
Oh
I was in pretrial intervention at the time. She was a part of my bucket list. Me and her went to prison for the same thing. And I had already committed the crime before I met her.
And when you met her, where was it? You went to her house? Did you call her?
Oh, girl. Like, this is why we're going to cut this video a bunch of times. So I met her because I met my sister first. I got my file from the caseworker, emailed her. Never mind. She got it to me. Got the file, started Googling her, found my sister. Have this very interesting conversation with my sister because she knows she has a sister that was given up for adoption, but she thinks somebody's pranking her. Insert explicits because she thinks it's a game. Find out that was like the week before my birthday in May. Fast forward 3 weeks, the last week in May, I get on a Greyhound bus and come from South Carolina to Mobile. The fact that the feds even let me travel was a blessing.
Come on.
Because I was on pretrial intervention. I wasn't supposed to leave the state. My pretrial, Miss Towns, actually gave me a traveling pass to come to Birmingham, or come to Mobile to meet my biological mother. Got there on Thursday. Thursday came and went. She had a lot of excuses. Friday, Saturday. Finally, Sunday, my uncle orchestrates this grand meeting and we have a really irate conversation. And the gist of it, she told me not to ask her any questions because she wasn't giving me any answers, and she didn't. Everything I found out about her, I found out from, she has 13 siblings.
Okay.
And I have 3. I'm not the oldest and I'm not the youngest.
Okay.
So my sister is 2 years older than me. And then I have 2 brothers who are younger than me. So.
But she kept them.
I know, right? Listen, feels like a script somewhere. But yeah.
That's heavy.
Because it makes you feel like, what was it about me? But this moment is the catalyst to my relationship with Christ. If there was a moment that I could pinpoint which took it from religion to relationship with me, was meeting her. Because on the Greyhound, mind you, let me confess, I was drunk a lot of that weekend. Okay. I was drinking. Like, it was so much. Like, people were like, I'm your first cousin. I was like, yo, my first cousin's first person who told me that because I'm tired of hearing. Okay? Yeah. I done heard this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Where my mama? I came to meet her. She ain't got here yet. Where she at? And I have this attitude. Drinking used to be my thing. Like, so I got a bottle of vodka in my purse that I'm carrying around, and a couple at the hotel that I'm staying at. Drinking. Like, get on the bus, because now I got to sober up because I got to go back to the shelter. And I had no business drinking that anyway. But sobering up, trying to get it together, I started crying, and I'm like, God, why did you let me meet her? My dreams were better than reality. I cried to my Father. I was so upset. And audibly, first time, recognizably, I heard the voice of God. He said, because your whole life you thought she had a plan. She doesn't, but I do. So now I'm in the place where first I've heard your voice. I heard your voice drunk. Because it ain't no way I had all that look at my sister here.
He'll meet you right where you are.
So I'm not in the cleanest of positions. I'm facing federal prison.
Yeah.
My future is not looking bright and fuzzy. My heart is broken. Yeah. Because at this time, like, I had a Oprah, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake expectation on my mom. Run up to me, hug me. Even if you don't have a lot of money, let's lay in the bed. Go more like Sister Soldier, like thugging it. Yeah. But neither here nor there. It was the moment that I audibly heard the voice of God. That is the first thing he audibly told me, that he had a plan. So in my mind, now I'm going back to Jeremiah 29:11. You have a plan. Now I'm digging.
And it kind of like, to me, it sounds like he allowed you to experience all of those things to reroute you. He needed you to see, because it sounds like to me, the type of person that you are, you're calculated. You have plans. You're headstrong, very much so.
Very much so.
And if they can't put a brick wall in front of you, because you're going to figure your way around it some type of way.
Absolutely.
And he needed you to see all of these things has failed you. And it's kind of like, now, here I am.
And that is why I'm here. That is why I'm here today. Because for me, I didn't fall into a lot of prison, what prison had to offer, because prison wasn't punishment for me, it was preparation. Because he told me he had a plan before prison. Like in the middle of my mess, after I caught the charges, while I'm drunk, while I'm homeless, like you had a plan for me. You didn't ignore me, and this is the first time you let me hear your voice. Drunk. Homeless. On my way to prison. And then from then on, I started praying prayers that I feel like have activated my faith and my being. Because I pray prayers like Philippians 2:5, let this mind be in me, which is also in Christ Jesus. Lord, let me see people, places, and things the way that you see them. Don't allow me to see it with my eyes. Allow me to see it with your spirit. Let me borrow your vision. Let me borrow your vision for my life, for my children, for what I had, what's my next. Give me a glimpse. Because going into prison, like the level of disgrace, the coughing, the squatting, the cavity searches, because they search them. Don't go, trust me. I told you, trust me. They search them, and it's like if you felt low when you got there, you feel lower by the time you search, and they assign you your clothes and your bed.
So let's piggyback to the article. Just by you saying that, what do you think, like when they get out of prison, they have accumulated all of this hurt, all of this baggage, I'm gonna call it baggage, plus whatever crimes or whatever they committed to be incarcerated, and then to kind of, I guess, not even be treated human, to have all of your, I guess, whatever foundational security that you built for yourself to be stripped away from you, like you said, the searches, the squatting, the no privacy.
No.
How do you think, I can't even say how do you think, but what do you feel like needs to be done? Not just this type of institutionalized. Yes, people commit crimes. I'm not saying let's give them a slap on the wrist. But however, if you know that they have this background, what do you think can be done to kind of, I guess, help them?
I think for every person, there has to be a choice made, because you get numb there. I know why recidivation happens, and that's just one of their words for committing crimes again, because there's a security there. They joke about it, but it's 3 hots in a cot. You got somewhere to sleep, you got somewhere to eat, and I mean, if you're at Feds, you got cable, internet, email. Like it's not a per se torturous situation. We watch Orange Is the New Black. Like it's not. You get numb there though. If you don't choose to feel, you don't have to. Feeling is a choice because it's repetition. They open a compound. You create pseudo families of equality. There are more pseudo mamas, pseudo daddies. This my play mama, this my play auntie, we sisters. They created this pseudo environment, and they tell you, one of the first things they tell you when you get there is don't talk about how long you got. People still do though.
They do.
And that you'll find that short timers, people with shorter sentences, don't congregate with long timers, people with longer sentences, because they create a comfort in what they know is going to be their norm. So if you got 6 and I got 6 and we come at the same time, that means we're going to get out somewhere near the same time. We gonna help each other do our time. We gonna do this together. So then there's a level of dedication, loyalty, a family environment that you never had, that now you got, and we all equal. You ain't better than me. We all got on brown and khaki. We eat the same thing. So I can see how people get comfortable there. Like when I was reading it, I was like, man, you can get comfortable here. If you really think about it, outside of yourself.
That makes sense. Like once you put language to it, especially for somebody who haven't ever experienced it, it's kind of like brown nosing somebody, oh, why you keep going back? But like now that you put language to it and you've experienced it and on both sides, it makes sense.
Kids that don't have hope or don't know there's a plan, they don't know there's a future, there's never been anyone to care. Like, yeah, it is your way of stability. I've watched people leave out, I promise you, leave out and come right back. And mind you, I went there for 2 years.
Wow.
So it's not like I had like a 10-year sentence and I watched somebody come back on year 4 or 5 and then come back year 9. No, I mean within 2 years.
They leave and come back.
I can watch you leave, get out on probation, know what these people expect. But when you have to cope with the fact that you got to check the box that you're a felon. So now here's rejection.
So what made you not go back? Outside of just like faith and like, God willing and stuff for you, what was that motivating factor for you?
It wasn't one outside of God.
That's good.
For me,
you
like,
was rooted.
if I didn't have God, I would not have made it. There was not. People are like, oh, well, I did it for my kids. My relationship with my kids is challenged. Like, I lost custody of them. They are in other places. They've been trained to not like me in certain senses. So, like, it wasn't my kids.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
But to say, oh, I had to keep it straight for my children, no.
It was God.
I have to live out His purpose to see what He's talking about.
That's good.
Like you said, you got a plan. Let's ride this out. Let's see what does this entail.
Yeah.
And I mean, has it been easy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I still make mistakes. Not perfect, but if at any time a human was to be able to hold that place, they would have let me down.
That's good.
Cause I can't name one that hasn't. Like, she died. A casket. Like, you done took it too far now.
Yeah.
You gone.
Yeah.
You didn't want to leave me in that situation, but you gone. If I put my faith in a person that they life ain't even theirs.
That's true.
They can't promise to be there.
Yeah. What
if God say, hey, I gotta move? So then you gotta leave me too. Now the little orphan in me.
Yep, back hurt.
Back hurt. I have to. God told me a couple of weeks ago, because I was like, God, okay, what about like my heart and how do I protect this? Because there's been the dating conversation amongst me and a couple of my friends. And it's like, God told me, don't allow anyone close to you that's not close to me.
Somebody hashtag that, because we all need to hear that.
And I was just like, okay. And even before I started dating, just listening and thinking of like, there has been safety. Because I ain't have a plan. Like, look, Krista, if I tell you how many times I wanted to kill myself and actively tried to.
Yeah.
And actively tried to. How many times I wrote suicide letters and wondered who would be the person to find my body, because nobody, like, I live by myself even now.
Yeah.
Like, that, but just being in that place, if I ever get my eyes off of God, I'm gonna die. If I ever stop consulting Him, I'm going to leave here. Because people, even when they mean the best for you, they are going to fail you. Not saying I love people, I love my mommy.
That's what the word said. He never called us to, find security in them. He just said love them.
No, exactly. My security is in the fact that God said He had a plan. So we're going to rock this one out. We're going to see what this plan look like. Yeah. And just for people that don't have that, and I think that's what my personal goal is, if God allows me to have one in this. God, allow my life to show them your love. Like prison, foster care, like.
So, guys, that's what I was going to ask. When you read this, you've seen it, you want to talk about it, but what do you want to do about it? Like, what if you had, I guess, because it seems we know where your passion is. It lies with children. I seen you done wrote a whole curriculum. I've seen it, and it's wonderful. It looked like something that we would get from the pre-K, from the state. It's like well thought out. So what what do you want to see happen, or like what kind of change would you like to contribute to this?
So I want to be the catalyst and actually design a curriculum for foster care for the kids maybe 14 to 18 as they're getting ready to transition. The independent living program, like, it's past learning how to iron.
Okay.
Because
so from 13 on down.
13 on down.
You're targeting this age group.
Because that's when you make decisions about your sexuality.
Okay.
That's when you make decisions about your future. If you're gonna go to college, if you're gonna go to the Marines, that's when, like, you start looking at the possibilities. But you will never make a choice if you don't know there's one to be made.
Gotcha. That's good.
You'll never know college is a choice. The Marines are a choice. You won't, because foster care gonna give you them emancipation papers, maybe a bus ticket. Like, there's nothing after that. So to give you the choices that line up with what future looks like, and not just what future looks like spiritually, but because obviously that's who I am, but naturally, like, what does credit look like? What's simple interest? What's compound interest? What does this look like as a credit score? What does it look like saving money? What do, like, have small goals, short-term goals, like saving a third of your paycheck, the things that you're gonna need, like, what are the resources available for you? Like, how to be a resource. How
they
like,
need that.
because between 13 and 18, so many things happen that can throw you off. And learning how to combat that even before it happens. Like, being proactive. I had to drop out of school and get my GED. That was the catalyst to, I know, like 4 years of bad decisions. Because I didn't speak up for myself and say, hey, I know y'all lost my credits because I had to keep moving around. Let me just finish this extra year. I didn't speak up for myself. So my social worker in that moment made the executive decision for my life. And she affirmed me. Let me not say it's one like she was like, get out of school and get your GED. She was like, you're smart enough. If you take your GED right now, you'll pass it. I took my GED like a month later and I passed it. So, like, it was that. But I know now that I should have spoken up for myself because I missed graduation. I wanted that cap and gown experience. I wanted the prom experience. But, like, teaching kids, like, hey.
Find their voice and to know their place.
Find your voice early. Find your voice early. You need, respectfully, speak up for yourself. Hey, I know I don't have enough credits. I know I'm going to be 19 when I graduate. I'm okay with being 19 when I graduate. Allow me to finish this year. Don't withdraw me.
That's good.
But not speaking, now you're embarrassed. Girl, it was like a season up to maybe 2 years ago. I wouldn't even tell people I had a GED.
Really? But you know, they say GEDs is actually harder than actually you just getting your diploma, but I can see. I can see.
The stigma behind it. Probably, I wouldn't tell nobody I had a GED. Because what that mean? You dropped out? You were dumb? You were stupid? You was whatever stigma in their mind attached to it. I couldn't just own my truth. Like, I kept running away, and my social worker kept having to put me in other placements, and then I lost credits, and when it was time to graduate, I ain't have them all. I could have just told her I couldn't own it. Now I want to blame everybody else for what I did. I couldn't own it. But to teach children in this age bracket, hey, let's work on identity. Let's work on making a plan.
That's good.
Individually, because you're in puberty and you got hormones, and learning how to make decisions. Not telling you what's right or what's wrong, but let's research this. So if you want to talk about sex, let's talk about sex. We're going to talk about STDs. We're going to talk about birth control. And of course,
so through this curriculum, I know it's including, I know you put some faith, like you said, you want to talk about God in it too. But I know earlier you mentioned about having someone to kind of, like, I guess, walk with them throughout. Like, I guess, what would we call them? Kind of like counselors, or somebody to kind of just step in and be like, okay, I'm at this point in my life and you need me for this. And then they, when they get to the next level, somebody else step in. Would that be included in that too? I
would think that, well, Habakkuk says, write the vision, make it plain. He's going to equip me with people that are going to support and assist and run. Because I don't want it just to be for like an Alabama thing. I want it to be something that could be.
Oh, of course, when this guy giving, it's going to be bigger than you.
Nationwide. But you're able to develop a culture of employees, and just like, because it took a village.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that, because I was just gonna ask you, I guess, for the audience, let them know who these people are, and then I also want you to answer, why do you still have it? Like, what does this mean for you to look at it every day?
So, okay, I thought I was gonna need a Kleenex. I'm like, this is humbling to me. This is humbling to me. I believe one of the things that I've seen in faith, in our belief system, is sometimes people forget where they came from.
Okay.
And we stop offering the sensitivity and compassion to other people who were where we were, because you forgot.
Yeah.
And my prayers, I know my body has to die, but my God, I always ask God, don't let me lose my mind.
Yeah.
Because I want to remember.
That's it.
I want to remember. And I'm very sentimental. I'm very, very sentimental and mushy. So I have, if you wrote me a letter, I still got it.
Really?
I still, every birthday card, like, I still have letters from prison. That's the letter my daddy wrote me in county.
This one.
When I first caught the charge. Like, when I first caught the charge, and I was asking him and my mom if they would help me with an attorney. And that was the letter he wrote me. I'm just super sentimental like that. Like, I go back and read things to see my growth. I go back to see if I met my goals. I go back to see, like, reflectively, like, oh wow. Because some days when things ain't going right, I can be here and be like, but I'm not there.
So you come in here, you look and reflect, and it grounds you.
Yeah, this is my prayer room.
Okay.
So this is where I pray every morning at 3. And this is the place, like, that's set aside for me and God. I just dual purpose in recording here. This is my foster mom. That's Diane Brown. She died. She was the person who taught me how to cook. She started off being my foster parent at the King's Ranch. This is my maternal grandmother. So that is my mom's mom.
Okay.
She died before I had cognitive notion of her. But she was alive while I was alive. I was a baby. I got some of her manuscripts because she used to write.
Really?
She used to write. And I got some of the things she wrote. And she would write and highlight about the spirit of abandonment. And there was a season that God allowed her to visit me in my dreams. And it was very, always so comforting. So that's like, I feel like there's something that's going to come from there. So she represents comfort for me. That's a picture of me in the orphanage.
Okay.
I took a picture of my mom's picture and put it in a frame. That's my mommy.
Okay.
That is the caseworker. That's Becky Beavis.
At the very top.
At the very top. She's the caseworker. She was the chins worker, working for DHR, that took me into custody. That's my biological mom. I won't call her name. She's quite interesting, but she birthed me. And thank you. Thank you for the womb. And I'm gonna tell you why. I have that on that side. There's a receipt.
Okay.
There's a receipt from an abortion. I had an abortion. I was not able to say thank you to my mom and understand what she did for me until I laid there. Because once I laid there, I realized I did what she didn't do. And this, you did something. You carried me, and you allowed me to be birthed. I didn't do that. So I have a different respect for you.
That's good, and that's interesting.
So I didn't start respecting her or really understand the weight of the role she played until I made a decision contrary to hers.
You had to lace up your shoes.
Yeah.
And walk in.
So now it's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
You carried me. You gave me life. And I didn't do that. This is the article. The lady passed it to me. It was crazy. She was reading the newspaper and she said, "What's your name?" And I told her my name. And she said, "I think the folks looking for you." And she passed me this article. This is the very newspaper. She passed it to me in the kitchen. And that's how I found out the feds had passed down my indictment. That's my
By nosy neighbor.
What I say? She was sitting at the table.
All in your business. What's your name?
No, I promise nosy. But yeah, that's my prison ID badge. There's my dad, my mugshot, the letter my dad wrote me from prison. Well, I was in county. He wrote me when I had asked him for an attorney. This is my foundational pastor. My foundational pastor is amazing, and she
is a powerhouse.
When I say, baby, not to be played with. And when I got ready to transition to my current church, I remember meeting God. I was like, God, where I gotta go? And he was like, you've never seen a foundation blow in a storm, blow away in a storm. I have to frame you now.
And he said, you never seen a foundation
blow away in a storm. So that's when I hashtagged her my foundational pastor. Miss Vereen is the case manager from the House of Hope of the PD in South Carolina.
At the top or here?
At the top in the blue dress.
Okay.
She is the person that when I say I could have been a job to her.
Yeah.
Her check didn't change. She still got paid the same amount. And mind you, I'm not a kid like I was here. I was grown, facing federal prison time. And she poured into me. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I was her assignment. She took me so seriously. She went to every court date. She was there with me. Even when I wanted to run, because I didn't want to run from this. I wanted to run. She didn't let me run though. She literally held my hand. Minister Nikki, she attends and serves at my foundational church. And she is never was she my friend. She was always a mentor, and she showed me faith.
That's good.
When I say she showed me faith, like she showed me faith in some ways that like ministered to the marrow of who I am spiritually. Like when I say minister to the marrow, like with the building block of my life.
Yeah.
Like you gotta believe. And she actually, and though she doesn't know it, made it easy for me to be obedient. Because leaving my foundational church was the hardest thing I had to do. And I think that was when my orphan spirit was completely healed and delivered.
Yeah.
Because now I had to leave you didn't leave me.
Yeah.
So my introductory pastor is on the side, and she introduced me. Her testimony is what gave me that thing, like, okay, because she was talking about how her kids were taken, and she didn't have custody of them, and she I still remember her message. It was maintaining the matter of the mind, and she talked about iOS downloads, and she talked about how many downloads we get, download after download after download, and how God wanted to restore us to the factory settings.
That a preaching itself, wasn't it?
And that was her word.
Woo,
that was her word in 2014. So we're talking about like 10 years ago. Matter of fact, it is almost 10 years ago because it was October of 2014. So yeah. And this is the wall of people that it took for me to get here. Like every person played a key part in my life and me getting where I am. And there are other people that played parts in. But when I finished the wall, I felt like God was telling me I was done. Was trying to add people or situations. Yeah. Because and my divorce decree is up there too. Okay. That's such an afterthought, ain't it? I'm sorry, but it's up there. But yeah, it just made me who I am now. So when you talk to me, you get parts of them and parts of their work and their prayer lives and their depositing into me. Yeah. The Bible says one plants, one waters. It's for God to do the increase. It was a lot of watering. Yeah. It was a lot of watering in my village. So, yeah.
That's a blessing. That's good. And I like that you keep it so you can, like you say, you come in here, you look at it, it grounds you.
Because it's something when you look at the fact that I survived divorce in prison, adoption, abortion. It was so crazy because it was a girl. Like 2 weeks after my abortion, she died. She hemorrhaged and died outside of the very clinic I had walked out of. And that was the conversation that was had in the waiting room when I had to go back and have my follow-up after the procedure. And they were like, somebody just died here 2 weeks ago. Wow. And I'm like, could have been me.
Could have been you.
Could have been me, like, but God.
But God.
Even in your sin, but God, because ain't nobody say it was right, but God. So yeah, it keeps me really grounded. It keeps me like with hope and anticipation. And when it comes to like my foster mom and my maternal grandmother, I think of the scripture. The Bible says that there's a cloud of witnesses that have gone on before us in the faith that are cheering us on. And I can just imagine them on the cloud looking down like, that's my girl. She finally got it.
She got it.
She finally got it.
She's running the race.
She is literally running the race. So, yeah, it keeps me grounded. It keeps me grounded.
Good. So we got the curriculum. that you want to do.
That is my life goal. That's if God may expedite that process and I marry somebody that allows me to sit at home and work on that. But just dropping it in the atmosphere.
That's right.
But yeah, that is like my life goal, to write a curriculum that is state approved, but it incorporates faith in the training process for parents and the exposing process for children, because like either you're going to be what they say or you're going to be what he said, because you don't know.
That's right. You don't.
And they already told you what they're going to send you. Like,
and they got you already down as a statistic. They ready. They just count numbers.
Building prisons.
Yeah.
Building prisons.
Yeah, forgot about this.
Like, they are building prisons. And if 90% of foster care kids are going, they are building prisons with you in mind. So as you turn 12, 13, they're like, oh, we got 100,000 of them coming out. That we need more bed space because they're coming through.
They're coming. They're preparing.
And prison is a business. So just even getting into that and the lack of care, because if you think foster care didn't care, prison definitely don't care.
Yeah.
They are paid not to care. They are paid to be mean to you. So understanding that is just paramount in like resetting the mindsets and renewing the mindset of children. I want you to know what they want, what they say about you.
Yeah.
I want you to know statistically, this is what they expect. But let me show you how to be different.
I was just going to say, but you give them something else, the alternative.
Let me show you how to be different.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in it, if you don't even know how to see yourself, ask God how to see. Like, I have confessions and affirmations over myself. My vision board is so important every year for me. Yeah. Because, like, God, let me borrow your vision for this year. What does this year look like for me? What does this year, this season look like? Because, truth be told, I ain't have a plan. I'm going to take myself out. So, what I look like coming now that you've made my life better, now I'm going to take over and go to my own plan. No. So but kids need to know, and my prayer is that foster parents and counselors and the people that have a voice in children's lives actually become active in the fact of knowing that you are literally molding the future. Yeah. Because if it's not your kid, it's the kid that your child sitting next to on the bus. It's your kid that's in the group text message thread with your child. Yeah. They'll affect your kids and your grandkids. And you just want to deposit the best you can. Yes. It may not be that you're a foster parent, but what if you're literally that career person that gives one day out of your whole year? Your whole year. Like if 12 of us give one day out of our month, that's 12 months. That means like every month is covered. Yes. So just pour in somebody. It may not be a living arrangement. Maybe you can't house them. Yeah. But what if you could take them out to eat one time?
Show them a new experience.
What if you can just randomly send them a message? What if you could be a pen pal? What if you just pray for them? What if we are trained to pray for foster care and adoption in like strategically, like bullseye pray for them? Like pray for that spirit of rejection. Yeah. Start binding the spirits as they try to enter the piggyback on the spirit of rejection. Because like what if we just pray for them? Like what if we have a day of prayer that we just literally target adoption, foster care, caseworkers, social workers, judges, biological parents, like paternal parents, foster parents, because they need to be covered.
Yeah, they do.
So if you can't pay, you can pray. That's free.
Come on here. Another hashtag. If you can't pay,
you can pray. You can pray. So just learning how to do something to affect, because that's 90%. 90%.
And then it go on to say, which really got me was they actually knew what stemmed this when they was talking about rejection and different things like that. Because I went on here and I was doing some research, and it's like they know, but what are you gonna do about it? And it's like you said, it's a business. They don't care.
They don't care. You move from one system to the next. All of them, they still get a check. Foster care, every social worker, every supervisor, every counselor still gets paid. They go home. Until they realize that the child that they neglected is the child that's best friends with yours. So the little boy that you decided not to mentor is dating your daughter. And you wondering why she's so in love with him. Yeah. But you could have poured into him 18 years ago, and he may have been a better but because you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you did. So understanding the bigger picture, because people say it's not out. It's fine. People say it's not your responsibility, but in a way it is.
It is.
In a way it is. So just, I guess, learning, building a curriculum, building a faith-based, for real type, like where I can have like real conversations. Because I know like one day I'm going to literally talk about sex. Like it's for real.
Yeah.
Because sexually acting out.
That's a real, yeah.
Did like,
you know firsthand.
It really happens. So understanding and just like not being judgmental to the place where, hey, let's take foster care and let's add faith to it. Because I don't know who in my house. I'm just trusting that.
Yeah.
And the people that put them in the house don't even know everything. Because I'm 38 and I have to go prep my mama for the truth. Like 38 still talking about truth. So it's like so my case managers didn't know.
That's true.
If I'm just not talking about it at 38.
So just imagine all the other children.
With suppressed stuff. That's letting you believe what you want to believe.
And especially in today's climate, it's very much different than where you were in foster care.
20 years ago.
Yeah. They have the iPhone. They have the AI. They have all of these different things. And it's like, you can just imagine what they're dealing with. Exposure,
like our culture, for me to have sexually acted out in the 90s was bad in itself. But think about children that are over-sexualized. Like the Cosby's went to bed with full pajamas on. Our little Lucy they slept in 2 different beds. We never saw them get in bed in the heat of the night. Right. These are the things that I grew up watching.
So much, yeah.
Now, baby, depending on Hulu, Netflix, depending on what you're watching, you can see it's all.
Yep, and even with parental control.
Literally. With parental controls, I thought like literally there's a way to get around everything. Yeah. So understanding, like I could see sexually acting out being so much more prevalent than it was even then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because hey, you dealing with it. I mean, while we're just talking about prison on this episode, but understanding like why, like that paragraph as to why was the trash bag so important? Why was that? Why would you believe that they feel institutionalized and they've been categorized? It was the last paragraph for me that said that they weren't be afraid of prison because they had already been in foster care. Yeah. That it wouldn't seem as scary. And I thought about the first day in prison. My first day in prison, I was not scared.
So they had it down to a science.
They were so right. Fear is not what I thought when I walked into that prison. I did not. When I say not afraid, because it was just the group home I grew up.
Yeah. Ooh. And that's literally what they're saying.
The group home just
grew up. They grew up. And we got a place for them.
Literally. So if you don't deal with your child's trauma and you let it age out of the system with you, you can come to a new system.
Jeez.
And we're going to deal with you when you get here. And then if you leave and you want to come back, we'll still let you.
But do you think that, because I know we got to close, but do you think that they are setting them up for it? Like it's designed for them to go from foster care to prison? I feel like that too.
Absolutely. Because Hill don't make them any money. If prisons go out of business, how many people will be out of a job? If you cut the prison population in half, how many people wouldn't have a job?
Yeah.
People put stocks in prison.
Yeah.
When you think about JPay and PayCall, it costs $3.15 to make a 10-minute phone call back home from prison, or it did in 2015. You make 15 cents an hour in prison. You don't make but $17 a month. Wow. So if you from foster care, you ain't got people putting it on your books. What's that?
Yeah.
You're not even good at choosing people. You in prison. What kind of stability you got home? So you gotta live off $17? What you doing in prison to catch more time in prison just to survive? Yeah. Folks catch charges in prison just because they surviving. Not even that they trying to do too much.
Right. It's because they don't have nobody to send them nothing. They gotta do what they gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Because everything is what you have to pay for.
when I say I'm gonna have to post a commissary list, you pay store prices, but you don't make store money. You don't make store money. 15 cents, 17 cents an hour. You don't make any money. I think that ends up being like $20 at the end of the month. You don't make money.
For all the work that you done did.
And you work like I worked in staff dining. I cooked a while.
Yeah. Well, of course.
I cooked. I cooked in federal prison. So I cooked up until it was time for me, till I went to the chapel and I started working in the chapel. But like literally, you work. I worked 8 hours. Cook, clean, like I was at somebody's restaurant.
Jesus.
And you make 17 cents an hour. So they want you to stay there. I don't want them to.
Yeah. And so that's what this curriculum and this plan.
Yeah. I want you to know what they say about you. Because a lot of times that hit me upside the head because I didn't know that.
When you gave it to me, I was up bawling with tears because I didn't know this. And they keep it so where it's just a little information. You know, they get it out there, but you really have to go and research this. And if you're not paying attention, it'll slip right past you.
Like working at a daycare, like sitting thinking of praying, like what God now it. And I thought about it when I handed it to you. I said, LaCrystal gonna be praying over all the little babies.
When I tell you,
it's
one child, I really just was like, God, don't let him be on this paper. Because we have foster care kids that come to the daycare. And when I saw him, my heart just broke.
Keep
reading this.
Keep praying.
And then aligning it with reality, with kids that you know. I said, I gotta see what's the plan.
Literally, the plan is to build a curriculum when they are in a place where they have a choice to make, to educate them of the choices. Yeah. And not just spiritually, like I love Jesus, but foundationally, like the choice to be made. I don't want you to have sex. I ain't telling you go have sex. Yeah. But if you're not at the place where we're done with dealing with this, let's get you on birth control. Because what I don't need you to do is reproduce broken. Don't do that.
So we're breaking the cycles.
So we're gonna like literally chop cycles in pieces. If you want to keep having sex, I mean, and sex, STDs are bad. Your body gotta die somewhere. Yeah. I'm more concerned about the sexually transmitted demons. Yeah. Let's not bring nothing else in here. But if this is just number 3 on the list, let's get you some birth control in your arm. Yeah. And let's work on 1 and 2. Eventually 3 gonna fall off.
It's gonna fall off because you done got the main ones.
Because once you kill rejection, and you know identity, babe, I'm too good for this. This is what I'm not gonna do.
That's right.
Once you know your identity naturally, spiritually, I'm too good for this. I'm not dating as of right now because I know what God told me I deserve. Yeah. And because now I know what I deserve, you call it arrogant, call it what you want.
Call it what you want.
Call it what you want. I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table and the table.
That's better say
so what we're not going to do is play. But the foster care little girl, no, she reproduced broken. And if you gave me attention, well, let's create a family. Yeah. I want to create the family I didn't come from. So next episode, when I talk about sex, because I wanted to create the families I didn't come from. And when I got sick of you, I'll move on to you and I'm going to create a family with you too. Yeah. So now you got a broken person reproducing broken. And when you're trying to survive taking care of them kids and you do something illegal, now you're in prison. Yeah. And now you just contributed to the cycle because now your children are in foster care. And now you have a transplant. So, yeah, the goal is to build a curriculum to specifically target problems. And based on what culture has told us, it's their outcome. Yeah. Statistically, we're going to end up on welfare. Yeah. Statistically, we're going to have anywhere from 3 to 5 children. Statistically, we're going to end up in prison. Statistically, we're going to end up below the poverty level. Yeah. So when you start dealing with the poverty level, how do we do eradicate that? Education. What do you want to do? You can be anything you want to be. Let's make some goals. Yeah. Let me start you at 13. Like all the free money that's out here for to go to school. Yeah. Like if you've ever filled out a FAFSA, there's a financial part that says if you were ever a ward of the state, once you check that box, you go to school for free.
Really? And they don't know it. No one is teaching.
Nobody will teach you that. Yeah. You don't know that you can get health care. Alabama Medicaid, if you were ever a former foster child, you can get Medicaid. Wow. 20 years ago, I was a foster kid, still eligible for Medicaid because I'm a former foster kid.
Yeah.
Like the resources that you don't know are available.
Yeah.
It's certain things you can do just because you're a ward of the state.